welcome to our first Facebook Live of the year. My name is Kristen, I'm one of our elephant keepers, and we have a very large update for you guys on our elephants, our youngest elephant. So behind me we have, as you guys know, our youngest elephant, Nelson. Nelson was born this year, May 12th, this past year. Some of you guys may remember that he had a little bit of a difficult start to life. So he was born, and when he was born, his umbilicus ripped. And our amazing veterinary and elephant teams here at the zoo were able to get him into emergency surgery within an hour of life and save our little baby elephant's life. And he is nice and happy and healthy now. But our big update on him is he actually hit 1,000 pounds this week. So Nelson is now half a ton at just under 8 months old. So our big guy, as you can see with his big sister right now, Joy, is doing really well. So he's also beginning his training. So right now Rob's working with him. He's learning a lot of different behaviors. Right now he's getting some whole wheat bread, which is what we start training our babies with. He's still nursing from mom, so he's getting a lot of nutrition from mom, but also starting to eat things and using his trunk a lot more. So we use soft things like bread or apples or raisins to start those training sets. As you can see, he's really food motivated like most of our elephants, and he really wants to be the one to train. So he's learning a lot of new things. He's a very smart baby elephant. All these behaviors that we're teaching him are what we're going to use throughout his life to help keep him healthy. So being able to check the top of his back whenever he's a lot taller, we'll use those things, like you were just seeing him stretch on the ground. Opening his mouth and things like this, like Joy is also showing you. We're going to get a good look at his teeth, check every part of him. Lifting feet, things like that, check their nails. All of this is for their health care and checking them over daily. So beside Joy and Nelson is their mom, Shawnee. So Shawnee is 30 years old. Joy is 3.5 years old. So Shawnee has these two little ones, and then she has our two males, Duncan and Baylor, as well. Shawnee's a great mom. We have a really good working relationship with Shawnee. Alicia's over here stationing her and keeping her in place while we work with the babies. Because we have this relationship and we build these bonds with our elephants, she's comfortable with us working with their babies and getting up close and personal with them. So Nelson, being a male, is going to start growing his tusks. You can't really see him yet, but he has little pieces of ivory that are just starting to grow through. His big sister Joy there has what's called a tush. Those usually don't grow much past the lip, and they are a lot smaller in the females, whereas the males, they'll grow those big thick tusks that will continuously grow throughout their lifetime. So pretty soon Nelson will start growing those tusks and have similar tusks to his brothers Duncan and Baylor. You can see Nelson's got a lot of hair covering all of his body. So elephants are born with a lot of hair, and then the bigger they get, the more surface area they have, and so they don't look as fuzzy as they do when they're first born, the bigger they get, but they are covered in hair, and they have really thick skin. So their skin's about 1 inch thick over most of their body. They don't actually sweat. The way that they stay cool is throw water and dirt on themselves, and that hair helps trap it in all their wrinkles and helps them stay cooler longer. You'll also see that Nelson and Joy are using those trunks to help feed themselves, and kind of like a hand. So there's over 100,000 muscle units in those trunks alone, and they will use those to pick up things off the ground or push on things, kind of like Nelson is showing you. A little bit of a sibling rivalry. They like to get all the attention, just like human siblings. So Joy is a great big sister, loves to hang around Nelson. She's a really awesome sister. If she thinks Nelson's getting too far away from mom, she will go and run and herd him back to mom. She lets them climb on her. She's an awesome big sister, and she spends a lot of time with him. Nelson's getting more and more brave, so he's going away from his mom Shawnee a lot more, but big sisters Tilly and Joy stay close to him always and make sure he's staying safe. We have a question from Justin. How is Max the barn dog doing? Max is doing great. Max turned 12 this past year, so He's a little old man dog, but he's doing really well. He pretty much rules the elephant area and spends a lot of time in the back sleeping in the sun nowadays. But you can see him in the afternoons when we clean. We'll bring the elephants inside and Max will come out and help us clean and play with his ball a little bit in the afternoons. So you can see Nelson's getting to use that trunk a lot better than he was just a few months ago, picking things up off the ground. They have a finger at the end of their trunk. They can pick up something as small as an individual raisin off the ground. So all those muscles that I told you guys were in there help with all of that. So he's constantly exploring the yard and picking things up off the ground, seeing if they're edible. Lauren asks, what is Nelson's favorite food? So right now, Nelson mostly enjoys whole wheat bread. It's pretty soft, even though he's got nice big teeth in there. They're still kind of growing in. So he started off with using those teeth to chew on softer things like bread. He actually really enjoys apple as well, but probably bread is his favorite. Most of our little ones like bread for the first few years the best. His mom, Shawnee, her favorite food is probably apples or anything. Shawnee likes to eat, so she eats lots of the foods. Most of our elephants, we eat about 150 pounds of food every day. Most of that is going to be hay. We go through about 22 to 25 bales of coastal hay with all 11 of our elephants each day. And then about 60 pounds of produce, apples, carrots, sweet potatoes, 9 loaves of bread. We have a really awesome animal nutrition department that takes care of all of the food for all of our animals here at the Houston Zoo. And we have a lot of big animals in our elephant area, so they provide us a lot of help in getting all of our food to us. Anita asks, how many elephants does the zoo have? We have 11 elephants, ranging from Nelson right here, our youngest, at almost 8 months old. And then the oldest is his dad, Thailand, who is also in this yard a little in the background, and Thailand is 55 years old. We have 3 other males besides Nelson and Thailand, and then 3 adult females and 3 younger females. So that behavior that Rob's doing with him right now is really important down the line. We want to make sure that we can see into their mouth, check everything in there, make sure they're nice and healthy. It's one of the first things our baby elephants will learn is how to open their mouth. Nicholas asks, how long does it take for the tusks to grow? So they start growing in a first set of tusks, little baby tusks, about 6 months old. Those tusks will actually fall out, and then they'll start growing their big, large tusks at about 2 years old, and those will continuously grow through their whole life. So they'll get thicker the older they get and longer. So those will take pretty much his whole life to grow, and they'll get a lot bigger. Usually around 10 or 15 is when they start getting a lot thicker. So you can see actually on Nelson's feet, he's got those nice round shaped toenails. Asian elephants have 5 toenails on their front feet and 4 toenails on their back. And they actually walk on their tippy toes. So the way their foot is shaped, there's a large pad underneath their bones, and the shape of their bones actually looks like they're standing on their tiptoes the whole time. So it's really important that we take good care of those feet. So it's a lot of weight, like we said. Our little Nelson here is already 1,000 pounds. He'll grow to about 10 to 15,000 pounds once he's full grown in his 20s. So that routine foot care and checking their feet out is something that's really important because they spend a lot of time and they're pretty heavy on those feet. Brendan asks, how much do they eat per day? So an adult is going to eat about 150 to 200 pounds of food every day. And the babies will kind of get there. So Nelson's half nursing, half eating solid foods. So they eat quite a bit. So we'll actually turn to Shawnee, and Shawnee's gonna do some behaviors for us. She'll show you kind of what Nelson will get to once he gets a little older. Shawnee, like I said earlier, is 30 years old. She's been here at the zoo since 2001. So if you guys have been to the zoo before, you've most likely seen Shawnee. I mentioned earlier, she's a really great mom. She's had 6 calves. So she knows what she's doing. She tends to be extra safe with her calves and keeps them really close. We call her a little bit of a helicopter mom because she likes to keep them close a little bit longer than some of our other moms do. She makes sure everyone is nice and safe. If one of her babies vocalizes from the other side of the yard, she's the first one to rush over and make sure everything's okay. Really good mom. So Shawnee has a little bit of pink freckling on her nose. So this is actually a sign of aging in Asian elephants. The older they get, the more pink they get, kind of like we get gray hair as we get older. Elephants turn pink, which I think is a little bit cooler. You can't tell their exact age by that pink coloring, but you can usually tell who's older by who has the more pink on their face. At 30 years old, she just has a few pink polka dots on the front of her trunk and starting at the tips of her ears. Whereas if you see our older elephants, Mitai and Tai, almost their whole trunk is pink and a lot of their ears. So we have another question from Lauren. What are the benefits to those training behaviors? Great question. So all of these training behaviors we use to help with their daily care. So different things like leaning in, which Shawnee's doing right now. We're able to get close, check every inch of their skin, checking their feet. Elephants are really smart. Not only do they know when we want a foot, they know which foot we're talking about. They can present their ears so we can do blood draws, open their mouth so we can check their teeth in every part of their mouth. So all of these are behaviors that we use to take care of them. Some bigger behaviors are used as exercise. And then there's little behaviors like waving their trunk or shaking their head. Those are more for the benefit of mental stimulation and enrichment. So some of their behaviors may not be directly related to medical care, but are related to their well-being. It's also, doing these training sets makes us be able to know that they are doing okay. So we know how they react to training sets on their normal day. So maybe they're going a little bit slower than normal or not presenting behaviors like they normally would. That's our first indicator that maybe they're not feeling that well, so we can do a more in-depth check on them. Camilla and Emma ask, when is Nelson's birthday? He was born May 12th this past year. He actually shares a birthday with one of our other elephants, Tucker. Tucker turned 15 on May 12th this past year. So his birthday is coming up in May. Lindsay says, how can we help save animals in the wild? Awesome question, Lindsay. So we help a lot of elephants in the wild, and you guys help just by supporting the zoo. So we have partners in Borneo that actually collar and keep track of wild elephants, and we've been able to increase the number of Bornean elephants since we started this partnership. So it's awesome for our partners there. Anytime you support the zoo in any way, you're actually supporting not just elephants in the wild, but all animals in the wild. So we thank you guys for any of your support that you do. So these guys are gonna walk to the other side of the yard, get some different food. We have our other mom and daughter pair kind of walking up in the background that you guys can see. Tess and Tilly. Tess is 37, Tilly is 2.5. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to our first Facebook Live of the year. Thank you for coming to see us and our elephants and supporting us. It will be live next Wednesday for more Facebook Lives with the Houston Zoo. So thank you guys for coming to see us.